We're back at it. Welcome everyone to episode 20 of A to Z Sports Talk. Today is Tuesday, May 17th, and we have to talk about everything that has happened these last few days. MLB updates and the beginning of a new series where we give our top 10 at each position. Today is left field. NHL and NBA playoff predictions as the next rounds are coming up. And then to finish off the episode, we actually have another new series where we discuss one NFL team per episode and give our thoughts and opinions on their potential in the upcoming 2022 season. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm AJ here now with the official college graduate, Zach Harms. How's it going, buddy?
It's good. I graduated, so that's pretty awesome. Graduated on Friday, got back, I guess, technically this morning. So it was pretty fun. Mom and dad and my aunt and Kaylee came down and just had a great time in Clemson the last week and a half. I think I drank probably multiple beers every single day. I think I've gone probably, besides yesterday, at least a week of drinking, which is probably not healthy, but just celebrating.
You got to tell the big story about your whole car trouble.
Yes, had some troubles. Clemson didn't want to let their favorite person go. So on the way home, we were leaving Sunday. It is, what day is today? Tuesday?
Tuesday, yep.
Tuesday. Okay, so today's Tuesday. We're going to leave and come back to Washington on Sunday. So we leave, or first we go eat some breakfast, really good breakfast place. And then we leave probably at 9, and our estimated time arrival to get home is 6, I believe. And so we're driving, making great time, not hitting any traffic. We're about an hour and a half after we started. I get this light pop up on my car, and it says EPC. I don't know that much about cars, so I'm tapping Kaylee. She's out. Basically looks like she's out cold in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
Probably good I tapped on her to make sure she was alive. And so I was like, hey, can you check the owner's manual just to see what this light is? And then she looks and it's like electronic malfunction, pull over immediately. Oh, so that's perfect. We're on 85, which is a big highway going into Atlanta. So there's 6 lanes. And so then I call my mom. She was also asleep. And I'm like, yeah, we got to check a light come on and it says engine or electronic malfunction. I think we need to pull over. And I was like, okay, we'll pull over the next one. And so then we went and checked the engine. We turned off the car, turned back on to see if it would do anything. No. Then we went to a Walmart. I don't know if I'd want to trust a Walmart mechanic, but we went to a Walmart mechanic just to see because it was the closest thing. We didn't know if it was an easy fix. They couldn't read the code that the car gives to see what actually is wrong with it. And they told us to go to an Advanced Auto Parts. So we went to Advanced Auto Parts. Shout out Bob. He stuck this thing in there, read the code. It was some turbo actuator thing that helped power my car. Because whenever I was pushing on the gas pedal, I wasn't accelerating as good as normal, which isn't great when you're trying to drive through Atlanta, which is the craziest traffic I've ever driven through.
Yeah.
So then we went and he told us to go talk to Matt at Pep Boys, 4 miles down the road. So we drove 4 miles down the road, got to Pep Boys, walk in there, tell him what's wrong with the car. And of course it was Sunday in the South, so nothing was open and we needed a part. So we had to wait till Monday to get the part. So then we spent a night in Buford, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And so my aunt had actually a doctor's appointment on Monday and it was Sunday. And so we were like, oh, maybe we can fly her home. So we went to go eat and we wanted to go get something to eat because we hadn't eaten since the morning. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon and we've been sat in Pep Boys parking lot for about 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking up flights. We're in Macaroni Grill. Never eaten there before. And we're like, my mom's looking up flights and we find a flight at 4 o'clock to get my aunt home by 6:40. So then we're like, oh, we just leave the place after we put our number in for waiting. We get in the car, drive all the way to the airport in Atlanta, drop my great aunt off at the airport and she just had a bag and walked in the airport. Then we drove all the way back Then go back to Macaroni Grill. We went to On the Border.
Good stuff.
That's
Highly recommend it.
I'm not a huge Mexican fan, but amazing.
Yeah.
One, their chips are amazing because you can get them in the store, like On the Border chips. Very good.
Okay.
They are by
Yeah.
far, I think, the best tortilla chips you can get from a store.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we got queso, and they gave you a lot of queso. And we all, after this long day, we all had some jumbo margaritas too at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, we got a hotel. And then the next day, we go back. They open at Pep Boys opens at 7, but the Volkswagen place doesn't open till 9. And that's where we need the part. So then we ask him, he's calling for the parts. We're like, thumbs up. The close one didn't have it. So they had to send someone to go to Stone Mountain, which was a little bit farther away. And he's like, we'll have it back by noon. Luckily, there's a Top Golf next to it. So we went and played Top Golf for 2 hours, came back. It was a little afternoon. We're like, did you get the part in? And of course, the guy was on his lunch break whenever we got back. We're like, perfect. So then we wait for him to get back. And he's like, yes, the part just came in. We're like, sweet. And he's like, you'll be in the next open thing. But all of them were full. So then we have to wait for the next open slot to come in. And then finally it comes open. And that's Kaylee just walking in.
Hi, fans.
And it took like 45 minutes to fix it. And then we were on the road, left at 3 and pulled in Washington at 2:15 a.m. this morning. So
the
quite an
Clemson
adventure.
The Clemson gods did not want Zach Arnold leaving.
They were like, we need this guy. He's just the greatest person to ever step into Clemson.
Does it feel different to be graduated, or is it just whatever?
Feels the same right now. It was a little sad, just like leaving
Did
the
you
campus.
shed a tear?
I did not shed a tear.
Okay, I would have.
Stayed strong. I guess I didn't. No, I didn't shed a tear. But it's just like walking, like, oh, this is maybe the last time I walk on campus for like a while. I've been there 4 years, just saying bye to like all my friends and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, even seeing your mom's post on Instagram about like 4 years here and gone, I even got like sad because it just. I remember like when you told me in high school that you were.
It went
going
like
there.
this. It was crazy.
It's insane. But all right. Do you have? Did you see it today?
I do. Sorry for my 10-minute story.
No, it's a good story. Good.
Woo. My did you see it was, as this tweet said, this guy will be appointed the new governor of Arkansas, because at the Arkansas baseball game there was a raccoon on the loose, and this man caught this thing by his bare hands and just held it up. It was like what's his name? Mufasa in the Lion King?
Yeah. Okay. I've never seen Lion King, so I know.
Uncultured.
I'm a loser.
It's like when he holds up the lion.
Yeah.
He's like holding up the raccoon.
Oh,
and then he took it out. It was a big raccoon too. And he removed it from the stadium. And I'm pretty sure I heard somewhere that after that he had to go get a bunch of rabies shots. So
I bet.
I don't know if that was a great idea, but shout out to that guy.
You said in Arkansas?
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
It definitely makes sense. In our intro, I talked about how we have a new series where we're going to, I guess for the next 11 episodes. Does that make sense? 9 position players and then relief, so 10 episodes. We're gonna NDH to 11, yeah. Give our top 10 at each position, and I kind of want to get going with that here. We don't really. I don't want our criteria is not going to be just what they've done this year, because we're doing left field today and everybody has sucked so far this year in left field.
Very bad. I did all my research on my drive down here to Springfield, and I probably spent 2 hours of the 2 and 3 hour drive looking up all these stats. I'm like, wow. So
I put down their stats for this year, but really I think you would agree our criteria for this is more based on who we would take. I mean, like if you were going to give us a name of a left fielder, who would we take? Would you agree with that?
I would say that, and I kind of base mine on their prior seasons, kind of their overall body of work, and who I think if they're playing at the top of their game, I would maybe what would be, I don't know. You kind of get what I'm saying. That really didn't make any sense
Yeah.
right there, but
No, I get what you're saying. Because I definitely am going to count prior success into this.
yes.
Just to throw out a name like Christian Yelich, for example, that 2-year span, 4 years ago now, he was the best player in baseball, arguably.
It was insane. And
But
as we know as Cardinal fans, for sure, he
he
hit
killed
probably
us.
600 off of us and
Yeah,
just hit a home run every time he was up at bat.
yeah. And like Tyler O'Neill's another name. I know we both have him high on our list, but he's a guy who's really struggled this year. But I just think it's a 30-game sample size or 35
Mhm.
game. He's not going to be that. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But let's get it started here. I have an honorable mention. Did you have any of those at all?
I can say some guys who I thought who could have been on it.
Okay. I had Brandon Marsh as my honorable mention. He'll be
Yeah.
11th, I guess. This year so far, he's honestly probably been one of the best left fielders this year so far. 4 homers, 22 RBIs, batting .283, 336 on base, 434 slug, and OPS of 770. What is it? His second year now? I guess he was a
I think
rookie
so. He's
last
really
year.
young.
Yeah.
I think he's
I
a
just
fast
know-
guy too.
Oh, very speedy. He's got that kind of unique look to him too.
He looks like a caveman.
Yeah, definitely. But we can go. What's your honorable mention? Do you have one?
I had a couple guys who I think could have got on here who've been playing well.
Mhm.
One was Walsh.
Jared
right?
Walsh?
Yeah, him.
Or Brandon Walsh?
Yeah.
Marsh.
Stephen
Are you
Kwan.
saying are you saying Marsh or Walsh?
Whatever the guy you said, I got him confused.
Marsh.
Yes,
So
Marsh.
they have what? Jared Walsh there
yes,
too?
I was like,
I keep getting those confused. Yeah. Brandon Marsh. Yes.
yes. Stephen Kwan was a guy I was kind of considering. And Alex Verdugo.
Yeah.
I think
okay.
he's a good defender and a solid hitter.
I like the Verdugo one a lot because he's had a rough year this year, and he was actually probably, I think I had him at number 10, but then I forgot 2 names, and so I had to bump him out. But at number 10, I have Marcell Ozuna. I don't think I think I might be a little surprised. He has 5 homers this year, 14 RBIs. He's only batting .210, and we can go through the other stats, but they're terrible too. But he had a tremendous spring, and besides that incident off the field that made him miss time, he's really been consistent these last, I don't know, 5 years. I mean, even when he was here in St. Louis, he had a year we talked about where it was more of a average year, lower power, and then he had a year where he had a lot of power, a lot of RBIs, but he was always a mainstay in that cleanup spot. We were talking about how Tyler O'Neill's kind of jumping up and down the lineup. It seemed like Marcell Ozuna was always in that 4 spot, or I guess the 3 spot.
Very consistent. Just produced, did what he's supposed to do.
Reliable. Yeah.
Yes, reliable.
Defensively had some
God
mistakes.
awful.
Yeah. I don't see when he was in Miami, I remember him having like a cannon, and I think he had some kind of arm problem.
He won a gold glove.
Yeah, he did.
Also, I do kind of think sometimes a gold glove is low key. Kind of if guys hit really good, they're like, oh, let's just give them a gold glove.
Yeah,
and their defense
definitely.
is decent.
What was the one a couple years ago? I want to say like Duvall maybe won one, and I remember thinking he was terrible defensively, I thought. But who was your number 10?
I had Austin Hayes from the Orioles. Did you have him on your list?
I did not, but I like it a lot.
He had a really good season last year. He hit 257, I think. I don't have it written down. His on base was low. It was like 3-0 something, and he had 22 home runs and 70 some RBIs, and he's 26 years old, and I believe he's playing pretty good right now.
Definitely.
And I think he's a good defender. It was really hard for me to find like defensive stats exactly, because a lot of them left fielders, if you catch a pop fly, you're gonna have 1,000 fielding percentage.
Yeah.
But I was on something. It had some fielding thing next to their name. It had like either it was like 1 or above 1. It wasn't that like super high, or it was like negative for someone's, and his was like 1.6. So I was like, he must be a decent defender. So
yeah, I know he's a speedy guy. Like he can cover ground really well.
Yeah, I never really heard of him because I don't think a lot of people know a lot of people on the Orioles. But after I kind of was looking at him, I'm like, I kind of like this guy.
No, I like that pick a lot. He'd probably be top 15 for me, but I'm not mad at him. You having him at 10 at all. Number 9, I had Austin Meadows. traded from Tampa to Detroit in the offseason. He has 0 home runs this year, 11 RBIs. He is batting 267, which is one of the higher averages on this list. Good on base guy, 362 on base. Not a lot of power this year, but he's been a guy in the past that's hit 20 plus homers.
He said prior seasons I looked at, which were pretty incredible. He almost had 100 RBIs one time, had over 30 home runs. He's been an all-star.
Another guy the Pirates not let go. They traded him, but still, I mean, another guy they did let go.
Did they trade him whenever they?
He was with the Glass now.
Okay, yeah.
That went to Tampa.
Man, the Pirates have given up a lot of good people, like Garrett Cole, Glasnow.
Terrible. What'd you have at 9?
I had Benintendi.
Good. I like Benintendi.
Because I think he's had a couple seasons, or he had one season with Boston where it was really good. He had 87 RBIs, I believe, somewhere in the 80s. Then he had some seasons that weren't as amazing, but he's playing really good to start the season this year. And I think he's a solid defender. I don't know if he's Gold Glove caliber. I'm not completely sure, but I feel like he has improved a lot this year, and I'd take him on my team. He wasn't on any MLB Network top 10 rankings or anything, but I think he will be on one next year for sure.
I think last year was the year he kind of showed a little bit like he would. I wouldn't say decline because he's so young, but kind of a drop off from what he did in Boston. So I think that's why they had they didn't have him high on their list. But I have Benintendi at number 8. Like you said, really good start to the season. He's batting 314 with a 371 on base. Not a lot of power shown yet, only 2 homers. But again, I'm looking at this list. I put all the homers for everybody. 5 is the most on this list. So I mean, not many people are slugging here. Which usually left field is like a power. You kind of
it's a power spot. Yeah, historically.
Bad defensive player out there, and that has power or whatever. But Benintendi's a good player. I think he could play center field and right if they needed him to.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's my number 8. Who's your number 8?
Meadows.
Okay, we just flipped it. Okay, right
on. Meadows, as I said earlier, he had some previous years where he can rip the cover off the ball, and I just think he's a really solid hitter. I don't know if he's that great of a defender.
I don't know either.
Because I think he's bigger. I don't know if he can move as well, but he can hit.
He just went on the IL like yesterday, I believe.
Oh, really?
So hopefully he's not there long. But my number 7 is where you and I, because I saw your list beforehand on accident, but you and I will completely disagree on this. I have Joey Gallo 7th on my list. Yeah. Wow. I know you're really high on Joey, and I don't hate on Joey at all.
I'm high on Joey. I don't think he's like, if you would say top 10 outfielders or even like top 15, 20, I don't know if he would necessarily be on there.
No,
but I just did it based kind of on his previous stuff. And but I can obviously see like a lot of these guys can be literally anywhere, and I can totally see why you'd have him at 7.
It might be our only position where we have that, where it's literally like whatever,
Yeah.
But Gallo has 5 homers, 7 RBIs this year. It's really been all or nothing. Batting 191. It's really, I mean, every year he's about that Mendoza line 200.
That's literally like his average. Let me look. I think that maybe his average.
It's got to be. But what he's really known
205.
Is his career average?
Yep.
Okay. Well, what you always praise him for, and I admit it too, his on base percentage is always really high though, even though he strikes out a lot.
I don't know how. It's very mind-boggling to me.
But this year it's 303. Again, small sample size, 35 games or whatever. And then his slugging's 362, his OPS 664. A guy that has all the physical tools. If he could learn how to just hit for a higher average. Obviously, he's getting on base, not this year yet, but in the past, he gets on base regularly. He's a guy that could be a superstar. I mean,
yes,
you and I wanted him here in St. Louis just off the potential of what he could bring.
He has so much power when he swings so hard, but what if he just swings at 80% of that? He's still going to hit a ton of home runs, and he will probably hit more doubles because he doesn't hit a lot of doubles because he either strikes out or hit a home run. Yeah. But if you could just hit doubles, he'd drive in more people, have a higher average, be on base even more, and he'd be one of the best outfielders in the game.
And instead of hitting homers 470 feet, just hit him like 410.
Yeah, exactly.
Who was your number 7?
I had Michael Brantley.
I like him. Oh man, I like Michael Brantley.
I really
wanted
wish
him here so bad.
I did too. I don't know if he's that great of a defender. He's just solid,
Mhm.
but he sure can hit. He's
Mhm.
been able to hit everywhere he's been, and that's something you just don't find anymore. A guy who consistently can hit 300 every single year, and he's
Yeah.
shown and done that, and it's very impressive.
So Michael Brantley was my number 6 on the list. 2
Oh,
homers
really?
this year. Yeah. 12 RBIs, 281. I mean, 281 is low for what he usually does. I mean, he'll be at around the 290 and above for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
356 on base, 405 slug, 761 OPS. Dude's a stud. I'm talking myself into putting him higher on the list already. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
really
think I put
like
him a little bit lower just because he's a little older,
Mhm.
but amazing player. Who was your 6?
Brantley was my 6.
Oh, this is Brandon.
Yeah. No, it's difficult because we just flipped him, but
I put Castellanos as my 6
ooh, okay.
because I found out he was considered a left fielder because Bryce Harper's been playing right and
Mhm.
he can hit. Castellanos can
Yeah.
hit, and one thing I like about him is I'm a big person. If you guys probably figured this out, I don't think you have to hit a bunch of home runs to be a really good
Mm-mm.
player.
Mm-mm.
Castellanos can hit like over 20, maybe even 30, but he's almost hit 60 doubles one year, I think, right?
Oh yeah. I think it
And
was
he just gets a bunch of
was that
RBIs.
was that his Chicago Cubs year?
Yes, I
Maybe
think so.
because I was thinking about him also when he was a free agent. I was thinking about having him. I mean,
I
if we
know,
could.
but after the incident last year, I was like, yeah, we probably won't get him.
No, yeah, he's also a terrible fielder.
Yes, that's another reason why he's whatever 6th and not
Yeah,
a little higher.
I respect that. I love him as a hitter. I mean, dude's
Yes,
probably a top
perfect
10,
DH.
probably just a top 10 pure hitter. I mean, somebody could
Yeah.
make that argument.
So last year he batted 309, had a 362 on base, had 34 home runs, 100 RBIs,
Yeah,
38 doubles, 938 on base plus slugging. That's pretty dang good.
yeah, dude's a
That's
stud.
very good. Yeah, the
My n-
year he got traded to the Chicago, he had 58 doubles,
Yeah,
27 home runs, and 73 RBIs.
and is that when he went from is Detroit to Chicago?
Yes,
Was that the trade?
just
Um,
so solid.
my number 5 is kind of disappointing this year, but he's proven the last 2 years that he's been a proven hitter here. Jesse Winker, 2 homers, 15 RBIs this year, only batting 225, 327 on base, 426 slug, and OPS of 652. He's in Seattle now. I thought he would be really successful there, but he just hasn't clicked yet. He had a big 3-run homer, I think 2 nights ago against the Mets. He's a guy that just hits. Well, like we talked about Castellanos, they were together
They're
last
kind of
year.
the same people.
Very,
They're not
very
great
much so.
defenders. I don't think Winker is that great.
No, he's not. But I love him. Just a pure hitter. Not very fast either. But dude's hits line drives after line drives. Big double guy. I don't have the number here with me, but more of a double more than a homer guy, but can definitely drive it out of the ballpark.
I also have Winker at number 5.
Nice.
Just because he can hit. If there was a rule where only right-handed pitchers could pitch, he'd be probably number 1.
Yep.
Because he'd hit 400 and but yeah, he's a great player, super solid. If he could just hit lefties a little bit better, he'd probably move up on the list and just work on his defense a little bit. He's pretty young too, right?
I want to say late 20s. I think he was a late bloomer a little bit, but I mean, still very young.
He's a person who I think any team would love to have on their team.
100%. My number 4 is a player you and I both don't have a liking for. Chris Bryant of the now Colorado Rockies. He's been on the IL since late April, so his stats don't show anything. He had 0 homers and 4 RBIs, batting 281 before he went down with injury. But he's a guy that we put him in the left field spot because that's where he's played most of his games this year. Dude plays third. Dude plays right. He's played center with Chicago. He's
probably could play first. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dude can literally play anywhere. And the shift, sometimes they move him in the second base spot and on that side of the shift. So really versatile player. a guy that's proven himself. We talked about that for our criteria. As much as we don't like him being a Cubby for so long, he's very much proven himself. And I think that's who you have as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I have Brian as well. As AJ said, we're not huge fans of him, but you can't ignore that he is a really good player. Even though we did boo him every time he walked up to the plate in St. Louis, and hope he went 0 for 4, which he did most times. But he's a great player. He won an MVP when he was pretty young, and
that gets overlooked. I always forget about that.
He's very consistent. I think he has dropped off a little bit since his MVP, but he's still putting up numbers that, as Winker, any team would love to have him, just because his versatility, and he's very consistent.
Definitely. My number 3 was Nick Castellanos. We don't really have to talk too much more about him. I did have his stats here, though. He's got 5 homers this year so far, 21 RBIs, batting .279, 343 on base percentage, 465 slugging, and 808 on OPS, which is the highest OPS of all of the left fielders we've talked about so far. We don't really have to cover him much more. We really, I think, nailed it earlier when we talked about him.
My number 3 is Christian Yelich.
Okay.
As we all know, he won an MVP, had 2 crazy years, and he was also extremely good when he was in Miami too. He was very solid. And then once he got in Milwaukee, he was able to generate more power and start hitting 40 bombs a year, which was insane. I know as Cardinal fans, we wish we would have got traded for Christian Yelich instead of Ozuna, but that didn't happen. But I had Yelich 3. If he would have been consistent these past 2 years and played like 80% as he did those 2 amazing years, or even if he played that great, he would be number 1 with no doubt, without a doubt. But these last 2 years have put little doubt. But I would love to have him on my team. I think he's a great player.
And for his benefit here, I think he's been dealing with some kind of back problem.
I think so. He was hurt last year, I believe.
Yeah, he doesn't look like the same guy. He's been better this year. He was my number 2, so I'll just transition there. But 5 homers, 20 RBIs, only batting .244. That whole Brewers lineup, though, and really all of baseball, the averages are so down. But
it's crazy.
244. He's literally the one scary guy still. I mean, I still fear whenever we pitch against him. And
same.
But he's the one guy in that Brewers lineup that does bring some fear, because I was looking at the Brewers lineup and they don't scare me.
Yeah, he comes up to bat and you get like PTSD that he's gonna of all his home runs, he just annihilated off of us.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't really what did he hit for average that year? Like 280, 290 probably. Those 2 years,
300s.
It might have been.
He
everything he hit was hard hit. I guarantee. I don't know it, but I guarantee his hard hit percentage had to have been extremely high.
So in 2019, Jesus, when he hit 44 home runs, 97 RBIs, he batted .329 and was .429 on base percentage. And then in 2018, he hit 36 home runs, 110 RBIs, batted .326.
Oh yeah, I was a little off. That's unbelievable.
He even had a year in Miami, 2016, where he batted .298. Had .376 on base percentage, hit 21 home runs and 98 RBIs and 38 doubles.
Wow. I did not know that one.
Yeah. He's very consistent hitter. It's just these past 2 years have not been great for him.
All right. Show our guys some love here at number 2.
Tyler O'Neill. He was incredible last year. And that was really his breakout year. So obviously he has not been playing well so far this year, as all listeners know, because they probably follow the Cardinals.
Yep.
But I have belief that he will turn it around. I just think he needs to just play, and hopefully the distractions of a contract extension, arbitration got settled. So hopefully he just can relax and just hit. And his defense, a big component is his defense is incredible.
Yeah.
Won 2 gold gloves, right?
2 now, yeah.
Yes, 2 gold gloves. And not only is he a great defender, well, he's very fast, which also helps defense and running the bases and everything. He hits for power. He hit 280 last year. So if he can just kind of get his old self going.
So I had him at number 1 on my list, especially coming into the season.
Yes.
I
If
think
we did this coming into the season, O'Neal would be number 1.
definitely. And I think most of the baseball community would put him number 1 on their list. I think it was 34 homers last year, 86 RBIs. Obviously, he was in a great spot between Goldie and Nato, but he's really one of those rare 5-tool players that you can probably name on one hand, if not 2 hands. 5-tool players. Dude had, I don't know how many stolen bases he had last year, but he's a 20
I don't think
plus.
he had a ton. I think he was trying to work on that this year.
Okay.
Well,
he's a 20 plus guy.
I know this is gonna be really stupid, but I know he wasn't a great stolen base person because on MLB The Show, his stealing is like 5.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yes, very bad.
Speaking of MLB The Show, they have a lot of stats that need to be adjusted there, especially like stealing. Tommy Edmonds' steal is like a 30 something or something terrible.
And they have Juan Yepez is at 58. I haven't looked in a while.
Yeah, his was like 58. I saw this yesterday, and Goldie's was 37 for speed. Like Goldie's faster.
No,
than Yepez.
I meant Juan Yepez's overall was 58.
Oh, his overall was?
Yeah, it was. The last time I checked, did they move it up?
It still might be a 58 because I think his speed was like a 56. So maybe that's what I saw. But no, his overall still, if not any higher, it's probably 60s or something. Like
they had to upgrade his hitting.
Yeah. But no, Tyler O'Neill was my number 1. I think he's going to turn it around. He put up a couple terrible at bats today, and then he put up a really good at bat against Edwin Nunez and got a hit in the 9th inning. But I'm not even going to read off his stats because they look terrible this year. But,
yeah, he just needs to, even though he has been hitting awful, he does have 19 RBIs. If you look at one bright spot, at least when there's runners in scoring position, he's putting the ball in play and getting them home. But I think he just needs to relax and I just think he's just swinging at everything. I think he also just has a lot of pressure because everyone's like, oh, he's going to like go crazy this year because he had that great year, but he just needs to relax, settle in. I think he'll start getting hot and have like a crazy second half, kind of how Goldie was last year, and also Tyler O'Neill last year. He got really hot at the end of the year.
Yeah, he I feel like he's maybe feeling some of that pressure from us calling him an MVP candidate to start the year.
He wasn't my main one. Dark horse. Wait, I did. He was my main one. Oh, I jinxed it.
He was in my top 3 too. I mean, I had crazy expectations, and I think he's still going to put up crazy numbers. He just can't dig himself too much of a hole right now where he ends up the highest he can bat is 240. Like he needs to get some kind of consistency. So maybe at the end of the year, he can be that 270, 280 like he was last year.
I had Joey Gallo as number 1. I know that he is not extremely popular with a lot of people. I know that, but when I was doing this, the top left fielders were between Gallo, O'Neill, and Yelich. And I just think I put him there. If it was beginning of the season, I would have put O'Neill probably. Honestly, I wanted to put O'Neill, but then at the same time, I didn't want to be too biased.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just put Gallo just because he has proven himself, had more years where he's played good or put up the numbers.
Yeah.
And just had more years of experience, I guess. And I don't know. I Gallo or O'Neill could be up there, but Gallo's defense, I think, is extremely good. And he hits home runs.
I was going to say his defense is an underrated part of his game.
Very good defender.
He was playing
very strong arm.
Center field in Texas for, a long period of time.
Yeah.
And then his speed. I mean, he steals bases at a pretty high clip as well. So, really, if this was like any other position, I'd be like Joey Gallo first, but because I had him 7th. But I mean, like you mentioned earlier, 1 through probably 7 or 8 could make a case for number 1.
Yeah, they're all kind of the same. Well, speaking this season, they're all playing the same level. But
I think as the year goes on, especially if we make like a preseason list for next year, we could have Michael Brantley being number 1. Like who knows? But next episode, I guess Thursday.
Yeah, next episode.
We'll come up with center fielders.
Let's do it. That'll be fun.
Good. Right fielders, I texted you, is the one that I'm like most looking forward to. You got studs in that position. So
center fielders, a lot of good players too.
Yes.
Trout, I guess Acuna's a right fielder now.
Yeah, but I mean
Trout, Buxton, Harrison Bader.
Harrison Bader, he's probably top 10.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But the Cardinals are now 19-16 after a loss today. They went 2-1 in their home series against the Giants. They won 15-6, and Albert Pujols closed out the game there, which was so funny to see. Gave up a couple of bombs. I think he gave up 3 or 4 runs altogether. But Yachty's swinging a hotter bat now. He's up to 253, and Goldie's really hot right now, like 315 now. Hit another homer today. But what are your thoughts on the Cardinals currently?
I think we're looking okay. We still aren't playing up to our expectations, and our lineup really, besides Edman, Goldie, Arenado, and Yepes, is kind of flat, I would say. Yachty's starting to hit better. Donovan's been playing well. He's been getting some hits, and Albert Pujols against a left-handed pitcher, he's like Jesus.
Yes. What are your thoughts on Brennan Donovan at short? I'm glad you brought him in there.
I really haven't watched a game when he was at short because it's just been busy this last few weeks, but it's looking like he's been playing well, putting the ball in play. He's like another Tommy Edman.
He doesn't have a whole lot of power. He does have a little pop, and he doesn't make the crazy play at short. But Paul DeYoung didn't either, but Paul was very good at short. Yeah. He's very steady, though. He makes the routine play. He's batting .321, and every at bat seems like he's not lost. Like he's putting up good at bats. He's not going to bat .320 for the whole year, but I could see .270, .280.
Yeah, I can. He's a player who I think is, as I've said many times, is very similar to Tommy Edman. And I think he's going to put a lot of good at bats together, like you were saying, and just puts the bat on the ball. And I don't think he's going to be a huge strikeout guy either. Yeah, and I just think he's a guy who plays really hard, and I'm kind of happy he's up and glad he's playing well.
What are your thoughts on Nolan Gorman possibility coming up and moving Tommy to short? I know we mentioned it in the past, and they actually talked about it on ESPN the other night, or on Baseball Tonight. So it was like national.
Yeah, of course, because it was ESPN. Yeah. If we were talking about ESPN, I hated their broadcast, but anyway. Oh yeah. I think if they do bring him up, it'll be later in the year. Maybe I bet for sure if they don't do this, I'd be mad, but for sure whenever they expand the rosters in like September, he should be up.
Definitely.
But maybe just kind of play it out. I think you got to give Paul DeYoung another shot to come back up and see what he does.
I think he was 2 for 5 the other night. So a little better.
That's good. And then maybe after All-Star break, consider if Donovan and Sosa are playing garbage, but if they're hitting like solid, just keep it with them instead of bringing up a guy who's never been to the majors before. Yeah. And I also think a main thing for Gorman is to work on his defense, because I think Ollie Marmol's so worried about Edman not being able to be good at defense at short. He's going to be fine. He'll probably win a Gold Glove at shortstop.
Definitely.
I'm more worried about Gorman at defense, because obviously Sosa and Donovan are a lot better defenders than Gorman probably.
What are we talked about it slightly just through like DMs and stuff, but Xander
slid
Bogaerts
into each other's DMs.
No, Xander Bogaerts. He's going to be a free agent. The Red Sox are terrible, and they don't have the roster to me that they're going to turn it around, especially pitching wise.
I don't get how they're that bad. Their offense should be amazing. They're solid.
Yeah, their offense for sure. The pitching worries me a little bit, especially without Eovaldi's good. He's their number one guy. But if they had Sale, I'd be a lot more confident.
I think he's going to be coming back soon, maybe.
I'm
not sure.
But no, Xander Bogaerts, let's say they keep losing by the trade deadline in July or whatever. There's rumors that the Cardinals are interested, and then just sign him. And I'm not against it. I'm not really against it.
I would love it, honestly. I've been kind of thinking about it. It's like a love and kind of a love-hate, because just thinking about Xander Bogaerts' bat hitting, he's hit over 300 consistently.
Yeah.
You could put him in the 2-hole. Yes. Have Goldie 3, Arenado 4. Yeah. O'Neill 5. Edman leading off. And he's a solid defender too, I think.
And only like 29 years old. So the thing is, you're going to have to give up Walker or Gorman and I would
It'd
give
have to
up
be
Gorman. Yeah,
I would
I
give
would
up
give up
Gorman without a doubt.
definitely. Yeah, Walker's only 19, and Walker's skill set provides more than what Gorman's potential. I think Gorman's going to be tremendous. And
Walker
with that,
is very fast.
yes,
I was at the Springfield Cardinal game a while ago, like a week ago.
Yeah.
And he didn't get any hits that game, but just running down the base to first, he was flying, and it's great. He's a unit. He's 19 and 6'5". It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like you said, 6'5". I think he's like 225. He has he has 10 stolen bases. Like dude is very speedy.
Yes.
Only 19. And I think Gorman is going to be a tremendous MLB player, but I think he would succeed so much in Boston with that short right field wall.
Yeah.
He would hit bombs. I think he's got 14 homers now in the season. Jordan Walker's a guy, and I think he already has like 8 errors at third base. You're not going to ask him to play third base with Arenado over there. And even though Walker's a year or maybe even 2 away, the kid's 19 and not showing a lot of power in Double-A, but he's ripping up Double-A. I mean, he's batting like 330. He's a guy that I am most excited for, probably since he might be the best prospect we've had since Albert coming.
I could say, for sure. Our minor leagues in a whole are actually kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the players we have, a lot of players who played at Double-A last year. I went and saw them, and they hit the cover off the ball. Like Donovan was in Double-A last year, and they're all up at Triple-A, and they're playing really good. But I just kind of thought, I just thought about this. Liberatore's been pitching really good. Heck, bring him up. But I just thought of this, and I don't want this to happen. But I'm just gonna throw it out there. Just see what you think.
Go for it.
What if Carlson does not play well, and you want to move either Walker to right or Gorman to right? Just throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd be more willing. Carlson's younger than O'Neill, because I was thinking about that same thing. If O'Neill and Carlson keep struggling, I don't want to be that guy that says their positions like they don't have it safe. They're our left fielder and right fielder.
Yeah,
but let's say
I love Carlson. Don't get me wrong, I love him.
Oh yeah. Let's say they continue to really struggle, and you have a Gorman or a Walker coming up, and I put down Moises Gomez. He's slumped a little bit lately, but he's batting 350 with like 15 homers in Double-A. He's like 22, so he's older than some of the guys down there.
You mean he's not 22? He's like 23, I think.
23. Okay, so yeah. So I mean, he's older. Yeah. Compared to the guys down there, like he's an MLB age, like that's not crazy to be 23.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not against it. I don't want to see. I want Carlson and Bader and O'Neill to be our outfield for the next 5 years. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm not against that at all.
It's good to have this problem.
Definitely.
It is good to have this problem.
Worst thing is that somebody slumps or somebody struggles for a long period of time, and then you trade them, even though they wouldn't like be high for trading. Like you get some pieces back for them. So
I would honestly kind of like if some of our people don't perform well, pulling up Gomez and just have him be like a bench guy, get some at bats playing right or left field.
Yeah. I mean, we don't talk about Nootbaar that much. The dude showed potential last year.
Yeah.
I don't see him staying here.
No.
I love Newt, but I see
maybe
him,
kind of like a Lane Thomas kind of guy.
Yeah, definitely. And then around the league, I just have a couple notes. The Blue Jays are 19 and 17. Pretty disappointing so far. We all had them really high on our list. And they have the worst average in runners in scoring position, which shocks me because that lineup is stacked.
I don't think
that will not last. The Cubs are playing better. I hate to say it. They're 14 and 20 with 3 straight wins. Yes. The White Sox are hanging around 500 at 17 and 17, and we can say that's a disappointment with all the injuries they've had. If they stay around 500 until Lance Lynn gets back in a couple weeks and some other pieces, I'm drawing a blank on who else is injured for them right now.
Eloy Jimenez.
Yeah, huge name. So, and if you stay around 500, a little above 500 until they get back, I think you're sitting pretty because the Twins are playing really well, but I don't think the Twins, and somebody commented on our TikTok about it, that the Twins aren't for real. Like they're not going to be that team. But the Nationals
commented that they're going to be for real.
That they aren't.
Oh, that they aren't. I thought you said they were.
No. And then the Nationals are getting to the Reds level is what I put down. They're now 12-25. They had a terrible low light last night in Miami with like 3 errors on the play. The left fielder threw it, or it was a ball under the shortstop's glove. The left fielder got it. He threw home, got past the catcher. The pitcher got it from the catcher, threw it into center field, and then the center fielder had to dive to stop it from going all the way to the wall. Yeah, they're a mess over there. I feel bad for Juan Soto. Actually, I take that back. I don't feel bad for Juan Soto.
Not a huge. Juan Soto's an amazing player, but
Yes,
he just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
yeah, he's a punk. And then my last note was I'm pretty impressed with the Diamondbacks. 18-18. I don't know if it'll last, especially in the NL West, but they're really playing well. Pitching is tremendous over there. And then before we move on to NHL, you got to give your analysis on the Reds Pirates no hitter.
That was by far the fun. If you don't know, the Reds actually played a good game for once. They had a combined no hitter. Hunter Green threw 7 2/3 innings, and then some other dude who I don't know finished it out, and they lost. Not usually that common to lose on a no hitter and have a no hitter, but the Pirates, they walked 3 guys in a row, so the bases were loaded. I don't know what the out situation was, maybe 0-1. I think 1.
Okay,
I would say 1 because they wouldn't have turned the double play if it was 0 outs. They would have thrown home, but then Key Brian Hayes put the ball in play, and did they get the guy out at second, or they just botched it?
I didn't see it, but it was a fielder's choice.
Yeah, it was just a fielder's choice, and a run scored, and Cincinnati didn't score, so they threw no hitter but lost 1-0.
Unbelievable. And I told you this completely,
to all thanks to the Pirates,
completely sums up the Reds and that organization right now.
Yes.
But if you
want to look for a bright spot, Hunter Green pitched really well.
He was good, and
I think he walked a lot of people.
I think he was at like 118 pitches or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we were talking about that Kershaw deal a few weeks ago about how taking him out early, but I'm not upset.
He's younger, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and
Kershaw's 35, and it was a perfect game.
Yes, very different. So NHL, we had some game 7s. I want to go over a couple here, and then give our predictions moving forward here. But the Rangers came back from a 3-1 deficit in a series versus the Penguins to win. They won game 7 on a 4-3, or they won it 4-3 on an overtime winner by Artemi Panarin. The Rangers are flukes to me, though. They're just not going to be it. I don't think they get past the Hurricane. We'll get to that in a second. But
Shesterkin has not been playing well, correct?
Not to his normal
domination.
Yeah, but the Penguins were with their third goaltender, Louis Domingue. They're without Tristan Jarry and Casey DeSmith. They had a banged up Sidney Crosby. They were missing arguably their best defenseman and Dumoulin. So like the fact that the Penguins pushed them to that game 7 overtime in game 7, I mean, it just shows the Rangers. I just don't think they get past Carolina. The Maple Leafs lose 2-1 in their thriller to the Lightning in game 7. 18 straight years without getting to the second round for Toronto.
For the Toronto Maple Leafs fans.
Five straight game 7 losses in the first round. So 5 straight years losing game 7. I just can't even imagine. And
I was listening to a podcast, and Ryan Whitney was talking. It wasn't Spin Chickles, it was part of my take.
Okay.
But he was saying how he's obviously rooting for Edmonton Oilers because he played there. Mm-hmm. And he says that Edmonton, like, they had their glory days with Wayne Gretzky, and they are like, they're great fans, but they're always like, our team sucks. Like, we are not good. But on the other hand, the Toronto Maple Leafs fans, like, their team, like, they're good now, but when they weren't that good, they would always just be so like, still cocky, like, oh, we're amazing.
Yeah.
Like, act like they've won a cup the last 5 out of the last 10 years.
Yeah. No, I follow. They're my second favorite team. I was disappointed watching that game and them losing, but I'm not like a diehard Maple Leafs fan like I am a Blues fan. So I don't even know what the Maple Leafs fans are thinking right now. But I don't know where you really go. Matthews and Marner are their stars, and they're 0-9 in clinching games together. So I think today they announced they're bringing back their GM and their coach. You got a terrible draw getting the Lightning first. Mm-hmm. So I think that has more to do with it. I think if they face the Rangers, they win. I think if they face the Penguins or even the Panthers, they might pull it out.
Yeah, you face the defending champs who have been,
dude,
as a lot of people say, have been a wagon recently.
They literally just know how to close out a game. It's unbelievable. Like they had 35 block shots in that game 7. Nothing was getting through. Like everybody put a lot of, he literally, that's the first game 7 and his last 6 game 7s where he's given up a goal, and that was just one goal. Like he's possibly the most clutch goalie of all time. It's unbelievable. Oh man. But the Hurricane beat the Bruins 3-2. That was actually pretty exciting too. Max Domi had 2 goals. He was at a deadline acquisition, and it just showed. Did I say that wrong?
You said it right. It's just funny what listen to you try to get through it.
Yeah. But no, Max Domi, they got him at the deadline, and it just shows like sometimes those pieces really like matter that you get at the deadline, because the guy who scored both the goals for the Lightning against the Leafs was a guy they got from Ottawa halfway through the season. So it's a big deal. And for the Bruins, it could be the end of what we know as the Bruins. Their main player is Patrice Bergeron. He's 37, and either they bring him back on like a team-friendly deal, or they just say he's probably going to retire. And then after that, you have big contracts. Marchand's making a lot of money, and he's getting older. He's still very good, but I don't know. I just don't see them being that they're going to have to do something in this offseason. Then the Oilers beat the Kings 2-0.
Thank God.
I was 7 for 8 in my picks in the first round, and this is the only one I got wrong. I was pretty bitter about it. But
I don't even remember half my picks. How did I do?
I don't know. We'll have to look at because we have it like saved on our Instagram, so we'll have to check that out. But McDavid, I watched the game, and I'm telling you, McDavid set the tone from the beginning. We all know he's the best player in hockey. He set the tone physically. On the very first shift he had, he laid out a guy in the corner, and he's not known for that at all. And it just showed, if you're like, I'm not losing this game. And I think it trickled down to everybody. Like, that's our star player, who's more of a soft player. I don't mean that rudely, but like he's just more of a finesse guy.
With all due respect.
Yeah. He laid out a guy. And then besides that, he had a goal and an assist, of course. But I think it was the 3rd most points in a single series in playoff history. I mean, he's just a stud. But credit to the Kings, they did not have the team going into the season that was expected to do anything. They were supposed to be a rebuilding team, and then they almost came out of the first round of the playoffs. So credit to them. They have a very bright future. And then the last game 7, I'm running out of breath here. Whew.
You can do it. You can do it.
The Calgary Flames beat the Dallas Stars 3-2 in overtime on a Johnny Gaudreau goal. And a couple things from that. Jake Ottinger for the Dallas Stars, their goalie, had 60 saves. It was like Vasilevsky.
I just saw. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I just saw it.
Like the dude was stopping everything. It's just like a wall. And then for the Stars, they're in like an iffy spot, I'd say, because they have a couple guys with heavy contracts that are getting older and aren't like the same players. Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin. And then they have young potential stars in Jason Robertson, Rupe Hintz, Miro Heiskanen, and Jake Ottinger. So you have to make some decisions, because they weren't even supposed to be like, I think they had higher expectations than the Kings, but they weren't supposed to beat the Flames. Like nobody picked that. And Flames were all 3 of our winners. So
yeah, and they took them to game 7.
I was
overtime.
sweating a little bit. I was sweating a little bit watching that. But the Stars play such a slow and methodical pace. And I don't know. And they were without Hintz, which is like their leading goal or second leading goal scorer in that game 7. So maybe that would have helped, but they have some decisions to make with those contracts moving forward. But let's move on to our predictions here for round 2. So let's start St. Louis Blues, Colorado Avalanche. That starts tonight.
Let's do the game that's going on right now. Lightning Panthers.
Oh, you're right. That's first. You're right. Yep. What you got?
I think we actually picked. I picked the Panthers because they've been playing so good and just scoring like crazy this whole season. But I think I'll pick the Panthers to win just because I already did, but I would not be surprised if the Lightning pulled it off just with their experience. And I know we've been saying it. They had to run out of steam at some point,
Yes,
but
eventually.
they're just incredible. And I think some of these, probably all these series is maybe, or maybe not. I think a lot of them could go to game 7, like the first round, and just be incredible
Definitely.
series like the first round, which was really fun to watch.
I have the Panthers in 6, and that's only because, like you said, they've got to stop eventually. Like they've just got to run out of steam. And their star player, Braden Point, went down with a pretty rough injury. He like gutted it out in game 7, but he didn't have his. He's a guy that bases his skill off speed, and he did not have that jump at all the rest of the game. And I don't know if he'll be good to go. And then, but again, Vasilevsky, I would not be surprised if the Lightning 1-5. Like Vasilevsky could just shut down everybody, and then
that's a big equalizer for a team that's really good at scoring and not as good as defensively, is because the Lightning have have Vasilevsky, and they're also good on offense.
I take the Panthers have Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight, and Vasilevsky is going to be better than both of them. So I'm picking Panthers in 6 just because I had that to start the season or start the playoffs, but would not be surprised if the Lightning won. And then we have the Blues Avalanche. That's later tonight at 8:30 Central Time. What you thinking?
The big key of the game is on me. If I wear the shirt that I'm wearing right now, we will win. So I'm guaranteeing making a big statement. We're winning tonight, guaranteed.
Right on.
I think we have a chance. I really
Definitely.
do. I think anyone has a chance that's in it still. But this by far is going to be, arguably could be the hardest team we could face the whole playoffs.
Definitely.
They're just incredible. And I know Cale Makar, right?
Yeah.
He's a
Oh, my
stud.
goodness. Yeah.
And they have Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah.
Look
Look
at
at
this.
you,
I know
bro.
players from other teams now. Yeah, that's about all. Those are the only 2 guys I know. But
I mean, those are their stars.
But Bennington has been playing really good recently. It's just giving you kind of like little goosebumps thinking back to how he was like psycho crazy guy the last time we made a run. So I'm hoping that happens again.
So I went to game 6 where we clinched, probably the best sporting event I've been to. And when they announced Bennington in the starting lineups, the crowd went crazy. It was like numbing loud, but also you could see through his mask and he was smiling ear to ear. It looked like creepy as can be. Like he's
very creepy.
He's psycho again. I feel that psycho Benner is back. With that being said, I have the Avs winning in 6 because that's what I picked before the playoffs started. But
I think I actually picked the Blues to win this.
No,
if
I'm
not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're the one of the only one of us.
I'm the true fan.
I put in my notes or Blues in 7. So if the Blues win it, I think it's going to go the whole thing. And if we're going to do it, we need Benner to stand tall. But it's not just him. We need everybody.
I'll wear my shirt too.
Every single game, please wear it.
I'll do my best. It'll be dirty, and I'll still wear it. If I wear the shirt, probably a sweep then.
Yeah. No, we need everybody in front of Benner to play strong, just tough defense. And that was the problem against Minnesota when we lost Leddy and Bortuzzo. Defensively, we struggled a lot, but we got him back. And Leddy was unbelievable in game 6. And the Avalanche are so fast. I mean, they just blow by people. So we're gonna have to slow down Makar, and I think that's on our forwards a lot, putting pressure on the blue line. O'Reilly's really good at that. Bozak's really good at that. So I would not be surprised if the Blues won it all. And I will say, Wayne Gretzky, the great one, picked the Blues to go to the Stanley Cup and lose to the Hurricanes. So it's got to happen. But
you made it.
Tomorrow, the Rangers and the Hurricane play. I have Hurricane in 6, and that is because I don't trust the Rangers at all. I bad talked them earlier in this episode. But I do think Shesterkin will steal them a game or 2, and that's why I think it goes 6. But what you got?
I don't remember who I picked. For some reason, I feel like I may have picked the Rangers just because of the Shesterkin. But if I did, I'm picking the Hurricanes because Shesterkin didn't look great in the first round. And the Hurricanes are just a really good team that also plays good as a team.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But they're probably the only thing that can hold them back is they don't have like a star player, like the one, you know what I mean? Like the guy who, like the Austin Matthews or the what's his name? McDavid or
Yeah,
Draisaitl. They don't have one of those guys.
Are you
But they
talking
just
about Carolina?
Yes.
Yeah. So
And also their
I was
goalies,
looking
their
at.
goalie situation could be a little iffy. I don't know if their main goalie is going to be back.
I don't think he is, not yet. But I was looking at your predictions here. I found it, and you had Carolina beating New York.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And then the last one we got is the Battle of Alberta, the Oilers and the Flames. I think that's what everybody wanted, especially in Canada. I have the
It's gonna be
Flames.
crazy.
I have the Flames in 6. I think they're a deeper team, and they have better goaltending in Markstrom. I take Markstrom over 40-year-old Mike Smith any day. And Leon Draisaitl, arguably the second best player in the world, was playing on one leg to end that Oilers Kings series. So if he's healthy, maybe. And it's another series where you mentioned at this time, whoever's left, anybody could win it. But the Oilers definitely have a chance. They could. McDavid could just say, "Hop on my back." He's that good. He's that superstar of a player. So, but with that being said, I do have the Flames in 6.
All right, obviously the Flames in 6, and we can speak for Colin and say he also has the Flames.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
I don't mean Flames in 6. I just have the Flames. I didn't do the
Yeah.
pick the games, and we know Colin has the Flames too because we all picked him to win.
Oh yeah, we need them to win. Holy
Yes.
cow! But all right, so let's get on to some NBA here. A couple more Game 7s to talk about. I mean, man, what a time to be a sports fan. But the Celtics dominated the Bucks, and I will say these 2 Game 7s were not as exciting as those hockey ones. But like I said, the Celtics dominated the Bucks 109-81 behind a 27-point performance from Grant Williams. I don't think you and I would have expected that.
I would have.
Yeah. But the big storyline of the game was that the Celtics were 22 of 55 from 3, and the Bucks were 4 of 33. I mean, there's your game.
That'll do it.
So Chris Middleton there would have definitely helped.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So Giannis put on a great performance. I think he had like 20-something points and 20 rebounds, but nobody else
He was
really.
the first player to have 200 points, 100 rebounds, and 50 assists, right?
Yeah.
In a playoff
Yeah.
series?
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
And when Middleton went down, they had that defensive mindset of let's just let Giannis kind of do his thing and let's stop everybody else and we'll still win. And that's what happened. And I think the Bucks tried to do that in Game 7 when I was watching it. They tried to say, actually the opposite, where they tried to say, let's stop Tatum and Brown, let everybody else beat us. And Grant Williams made him pay. I mean, 27 points. I think he shot like 16 three-ball attempts. So
yeah, he shot a ton, but they were good shots. I think they just left him open.
Yeah, they were leaving him wide open in that corner. And the other Game 7 was the Mavs and the Suns. The Mavs just blew them out of the water, and I'm happy for it too. But holy cow, I was not expecting that. 123-90, 57-27 at half. Booker and CP3. I know CP3 was limping after the game. So I don't know if that was,
he had to be doing that just on purpose to not make it have no excuse.
Yeah. So it was either a cop out. Yeah. But they were 7 for 22 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3, 21 points combined. A lot of blame goes to them, but also DeAndre Ayton was 2 for 5 from the field, 5 points, 4 rebounds, and he's a free agent to be. So I think I saw a video.
Get him.
Oh, the Mavs or the Hornets are another team that he would be really good in both those spots. Do you think he's not a bust, but do you think he's a disappointment from a number 1 overall pick perspective?
I would say yes, just because number 1 overall picks, you expect them to be at least all-star caliber players, not necessarily superstar generational talents. Well, some you do, but you expect him to be at least an all-star player, and he's just a solid player.
Yeah, he doesn't have an all-star appearance yet.
Solid starter.
Also, if you go back to that draft, you picked him over Luka Doncic. Like, who else was in that draft? I'm drawing another blank. I can look it up.
Trae Young.
Oh yeah.
2018. Yes.
Goodness.
I don't remember.
So Bagley went second. You're not. I mean,
he's obviously had a stellar career so far.
Yeah. But besides that, Luka, Jaren Jackson Jr. I might take Jaren Jackson over Ayton. I probably wouldn't, but I would listen to somebody. I would listen to somebody that would. Trae Young's there, easily taking Trae. Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter, Colin Sexton.
I still think Mo Bamba is still developing. I think he could
Yeah.
still be good.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. And then Shea Gilgeous went 9th, I believe. Here, I'm taking Shea over Ayton.
Yeah. Would you
this
take
was
Shea over Trae Young?
Probably not. Probably not.
I may do it.
I think, man, we haven't been able to see Shea with a really good team. And
Mhm.
so he's just been with a rebuilding OKC, and credit to him for sticking it out over there. But if you put Shea with the Hawks, I'd love to see that kind of comparison.
Mhm.
But Trae, I don't like Trae very much at all, but he's very good. And he kind of fell apart.
I don't like him, but he's very good.
he kind of fell apart in that Heat series when they got eliminated. But besides that, I mean, obviously he's a insane talent. But if you're the Suns, you had expectations of winning it all after coming off a brutal loss, I think Game 7 last year against the Bucks in the finals.
Mhm.
Do you make a lot of changes? CP3 is getting older. What do you think?
I feel like you got to do something.
I don't know if it's more of a you switch up some role players type of thing, or if you if you split up CP3 and Devin Booker. I mean, you got to keep Devin Booker. He's your guy.
I really think CP3 is what makes that team good.
Mhm.
And if CP3 is not on that team, they'd be probably could be playing in the play-in. I'll say it.
I mean, even besides that, they were bottom feeders before he came over. They had a really good bubble, like little 8-game stretch where they almost made the play-in, and then they got CP3, and then they're finals contenders. So
the only thing is CP3 chokes every time in the playoffs.
yeah, and I'm here with you for all the CP3 hate, because I do think he's just not a playoff performer, but he does make or break that team. So I'm interested to see what they do in the offseason. Hopefully Jay Crowder's out of there. Goodness, I hate Jay Crowder. But let's move on to our conference finals predictions here. The Celtics and the Heat, that starts tonight. I have the Heat in 7, even though I picked the Celtics to win it all. I know it's a little shocking. I think their experience is more than what the Celtics have had, even though, experience, Tatum's been to what now, 3 or 4 conference finals. He just hasn't gotten over that hump yet. So, but I think the coaching will be the huge difference. I would take Spoelstra over Udoka every day of the week. So that's why I have Heat in 7.
I'm gonna go Celtics. I think you can go either way, but gotta go with the St. Louis boy Jason Tatum.
Yeah, not against it at all.
The Celtics have been playing good, great defense, and as AJ knows, defense wins championships.
Every episode. Do you think it's gonna go?
You should just be happy I didn't mention anything about Eric Spoelstra.
We need to make like a T-shirt, just roasting me. You just need to wear that every episode.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be a long series though?
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be tight.
Okay. And then
they're very similar. I think it can be kind of low scoring too.
I think it's going to be really low scoring. The Celtics defense has really looked good. They slowed. What they give up to the Bucks? 81 points in Game 7, and then the Heat obviously are known for their defensive ability. So. And then in the Western Conference, the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks. I have the Warriors in 6, even though I'm really cheering for Dallas. But I think if the Mavs are going to win, they need Brunson and others to step up and help Luka, and that's what did it in games. Dinwiddie was so good, making big shot after big shot. But what do you got here?
I want the Mavericks to win. I did pick the Warriors in the championship. I like both teams. I know AJ's not a big Warriors fan because he beat his husband LeBron, but I just like the way the Warriors play. I think they're one team in the NBA who moves the ball really well and actually kind of plays an offense besides a pick and roll. But I did see a stat that the Mavs are number 1 defensively against the 3-pointer, which I found it was interesting. The one thing I watched about NBA, and I think that could pose a little bit problems for the Warriors, but I think this series will be high scoring.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then I want to, before we go on to our last
Luka's
segment,
first conference finals too.
I want to talk about who's your MVP in the Celtics Heat series for that, because they do a conference finals MVP just off the top of your head. Yeah.
I say either Jason Tatum or Jimmy Butler.
I think they do a conference finals MVP. Now I'm second guessing
I
myself.
don't think they do.
They might not. Maybe I'm just thinking about the trophy they give out for the winning of the conference finals. But who's your star player then in that series? Who stands out?
Either Jason Tatum or Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
They're the driving force for each team, I think, in my opinion.
No, definitely.
Jimmy Butler's like a superstar in the playoffs. He just turns it on. It's crazy.
Definitely.
They both get their teams going on the offensive end and the defensive end. They're both great on both great players both ways.
That's where Tatum's made the biggest jump for me and improved is that's where he could be a top 5 player potentially. And I want to get into that, especially in the offseason, who's our top 5 players. Because Zach, I'll agree. I'll agree with you. LeBron's not the best in the world anymore. I'm at that point. Giannis is the best player in the world.
Yes.
But I talked to some people about Tatum the other day, and where does Tatum land? And because you look at those top guys now, Jokic is up there, and Embiid is up there. And by the way, did we talk about Jokic back-to-back MVPs? Did we mention that at all? Because I agree he had an MVP season. I would have given it to Embiid just based off what they do with the MVP voting, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Last year, Steph Curry carried that Warriors team to an 8th seed, and they said it's because they didn't win enough. But now Jokic took them to a 6th seed, which is better.
Yeah.
Not a big jump, and now he got it. So I would have given it to Embiid. I think Jokic is a better player. I think efficiency wise and like all the little stats, Jokic had one of the best years of all time. So I'm not against him getting it. Some stars though that only have one MVP, like Kobe had one MVP and Jokic has 2. It just kind of blew my mind. But
like Dirk only has 1. Crazy.
Dirk's your guy. My MVP, I guess, of the Celtics Heat is Bam Adebayo. I think Robert Williams or whoever they have at center, Horford, I don't think they're going to hold Bam. I think he's going to have a tremendous series. And then who's your star player from the Warriors Mavs? I think we can both agree if the Mavs win, it's Luka.
Yeah, Luka, and then Warriors have to be Steph, but it could always be Clay. Clay could just
definitely
go
be
off.
Clay. Definitely be Clay. I do have Steph being the main player there. And then let's finish it off with our new series here. The Washington Commanders will be our first NFL
The commies.
we're talking about today. I have them finishing the season 8-9. That's my prediction for them. What's your prediction record?
I think I had around the same 8-9 or 7-10.
Okay.
I just still don't like the 17 game series or 17 game season just because it messes up with all the schedules. But we were kind of talking about this before, but they start off against Jacksonville Jaguars, my new second favorite team.
Yeah.
And the Detroit Lions, which they should win easily. And then they start playing the Eagles, Cowboys, Titans, Bears, Packers, Colts, Vikings, and then the Eagles again. And AJ can go ahead and say what we think about that stretch of games.
Yeah, so that's the stretch that I would say makes or breaks their season. To me, they are a team that could surprise some people. Now that they have, I don't want to hate on Taylor Heineke. He's a tremendous story and was just a gutsy, just football player. But Carson Wentz gets a little too much hate. He's not a top 10 quarterback or anything crazy like that. But he's a guy
Top
that's
20.
Yeah, he's a quarterback. Like he's a quarterback that I think can help raise Terry McLaurin's game to another level.
And they're the wide receiver they drafted from Penn State, who is, let me find his name, Jahan Dotson, who was highly rated.
Was he a second rounder?
First rounder, I think.
First rounder?
Or I think first, yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. But that stretch it starts week 4. So I have them winning. I think I had them 3-0 to start the year. What's their first 3? Do you have it pulled up?
Yeah. They play Jacksonville, Detroit. Those should be wins. But I think they'd be harder. I think it'll be closer than they think. So I think the Jaguars and Detroit will both be improved this year.
Definitely.
And then they play the Eagles week 3. And I think they're going to split with the Eagles.
Yes. And that one's in Washington, correct?
Yes. So they'll probably win that one.
And then they play you guys or week 4. So I have them starting the season 3-0. And then that stretch of Dallas, Tennessee, at Chicago, even though Chicago is going to be terrible, that's my upset. I have Chicago beating them in Chicago. I think the weather's going to be crazy probably. And then Green Bay at the Colts, versus the Vikings, at the Eagles. That like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 game stretch is going to make or break their season. I think they go 2-5 in that stretch, and that's why they finish 8-9. But
and then they have some easy games kind of to.
Yeah, that last few I don't have it written down.
Or
but
they play after that stretch. They play Houston, Atlanta, and then the Giants. Then they have a bye, and they play the Giants again, and then they play the 49ers and Browns and Cowboys. So the last 3 games are difficult.
That's an up and down season. Dang, that's like 5 really tough, 4 really easy, and then 3 hard to finish it up. But my other note I wrote down is I mentioned it. I think Terry McLaurin. This is my maybe. It shouldn't be a hot take. I think McLaurin solidifies himself as a top 10 wide receiver in football this year. I think if he stays healthy, I know he was dealing with some injuries at the end of last year, and if in football, who knows? I mean, it could always happen, but I think Carson Wentz will help him develop. And besides Pittman Jr. last year for the Colts, Wentz really didn't have a weapon that he could rely on besides Jonathan Taylor, obviously.
Ty.
So, Ty, yeah. So, I do think Carson Wentz will be this. I don't think he's going to improve. I don't think he's going to decline because he did not have a bad season last year, but he makes those mistakes. He makes the
stupid mistakes where he's getting sacked and he tries to be
the hero.
He tries to be Moses and part the Red Sea, and he like throws a ball when he's like backwards and he throws it straight into a guy's.
Yeah. So I think he's going to be the same. I think he's going to be good, but makes too many mistakes to take that next step and be great. But I mean, he was tremendous that 1 year in Philly.
Yeah.
But hasn't really been the same since.
I agree. I think a big thing that the Commies need to improve on is their defense was supposed to be really good last year.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of underperformed. Chase Young did get injured, I believe. But with him back, it should help, obviously. But I think even when he was there, they didn't really play that great.
Was that an injury he's going to be back from? I could have sworn it was his ACL or Achilles.
I think it was the ACL. I don't know when it was.
But
I think it was earlier in the season.
I remember their defense being praised before the season started last year, and then it was like
they're going to be
bottom
good.
5. Yeah.
My
final analysis for them though is it's a team that has potential, and the pieces they have pieces to be a fringe wild card team. I don't
really
think
the only thing that holds them back is Carson Wentz.
Oh,
really?
Definitely. Yeah. I think that I don't think they are a contender for the division. I don't think they push you guys or even the Eagles. I think they finished 3rd in that division, but it's a team that could be a wild card team. Like if they got that, I wouldn't be like, oh wow.
You wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I think this is my hot take. I would not be surprised if, as the season went on and Carson Wentz does not play good, I would not be surprised to see Sam Howell come in.
I thought about Sam, and I'm not against that. I mean, you praised him a lot.
He can sling it.
Yeah. That's interesting. And he went to North Carolina. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, how long do you have a leash with Carson? Because they didn't pay him a whole lot, did they?
They traded for him.
They didn't like sign him or anything. It was just from the trade.
No, just from the trade. I don't know what if they had to pay or the Colts or the Eagles have to pay.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
But I think we're going to start in the NFC East and kind of, I don't know if we're going to do AFC East after this and then just kind of move east to west, or if we're going to go NFC, AFC. But next week we will have the Eagles. Next episode. That's what we were planning, and then Cowboys, Giants, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure you'll love that episode.
Yes.
But thank you everyone for listening and watching. We'll be back on Thursday. Episode will probably be out Friday though. To recap the game ones that happened in the NHL and NBA playoffs. We'll have our top 10 center fielders, and we'll discuss our next NFC East team, which is the Eagles. So I guess we'll just see everybody else then. And of course, let's go Blues.
Go Blues.